Oh. Satchidanandarupaya Vishwotpattyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditaratascharteshvabhignaswarat Tene Brahmahridaya Adikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayaha Tejo Varimridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Ketavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamunikrite Kim Vaparerishwaraha Sadyo Hridyavarudhyate Trikritibihi Shushrushubi-stachana. Hari Om and greetings from London. The structure of Srimad Bhagavatam is for an adhikari, that is a seeker. That is the setup for the first section. They're to engage in sadhana, disciplines, practices that help them to evolve. That is the message of the second section. As a seeker is engaged in that which helps them to evolve, they will become more belief-oriented. They will believe more. That comes through skandhas 3 through 5. Sadhana is that which helps one to evolve. Belief then evolves to faith. And that is taught through sections 6 through 8. And the evolution of faith is trust, which is coming from sections 9, 10, and 11. Layering this devotional teaching with an orientation towards knowledge, belief is facilitated by shravana, listening. Faith is facilitated by manana, reflecting. And trust is facilitated by nididhyasana, which is contemplating. And so the 10th skandha, the section we're in right now, one is to experience this through contemplation. I've been sharing repeatedly in Meaningful Mornings that contemplation equals identification. Right now, I am contemplating wrongly. In other words, I am identifying wrongly with the sensations of the body, the thoughts of the mind. We are to practice contemplation for the right identification, that I'm beyond the body and mind. This is beautifully taught in the Sanskrit word hrit, H-R-T. Hrit means heart, as in H-E-A-R-T. You see that connection? Hrit becomes heart from Sanskrit to English. But more commonly, we use the word hridayam, which is hrit plus ayam. Ayam means this. Hrit ayam, I this, or I am this. When someone asks us, who are you? We say, I am this. I am what? I am the mind. I am the body. I am this home. I am this profession. Our hridaya is wrong. The 10th skanda of Bhagavatam is known as the hridaya of Bhagavatam, the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if one is contemplating on this, hrit ayam, that ayam is changing from profession and home and body and mind to Krishna. Hrit, I, the sense of I, hrit Krishna. I am Krishna. Krishna am I. The 10th skanda is also technically flowing through Ashrae. Ashrae means to renounce or to surrender. See how practical this is. The more I love Bhagavan Krishna, the more I unlove my profession, my home, my body, my mind. We began the 10th skanda on September 13th, 2020. 18 months ago, we began this section. And in these 18 months, there were only 3 months where we didn't have an active class like we're doing right now. So what have we been doing for 15 months? Instead of hrit ayam, hrit Krishna. I keep on surrendering what I'm not by realizing who I am. I think many of you did that with your passports, correct? You had to surrender a passport of a certain country to hold on to a passport of another country. See how ready you are to do that? But here I'm talking about Bhagavan, and there's so much holding back towards that. When we were together exploring the Ramayana, I distinctly shared with you, and I'm reminding you now, only if Devi Parvati gets married to Bhagavan Shiva, then Bhagavan Rama will be born. Only when Devi Parvati, who's symbolic for Shraddha, she marries Bhagavan Shiva, who's symbolic for Vishwas, faith and trust. Then Bhagavan Rama was born. Faith and trust leads to one knowing that in their heart is Krishna, or in this context, Rama. That same life application has been shared, just in a different way, through the narrations relating to Vrika, also known as Bhasma Asura. In this, see how Bhagavan Shiva became the prerequisite for Bhagavan Narayana to be experienced. In a different way, there was Rishi Bhrigu, who was as if testing who is the greatest God. And he goes, Bhagavan Brahma, Bhagavan Shiva, to Bhagavan Narayana. Now, those who don't understand the implication of this, I tried to explain this more clearly. Simple living is the catalyst to high thinking. Bhagavan Shiva is simple living. Even think of your relationships. In a trusting relationship, that relationship is simpler, correct? But if there's no trust in a relationship, it's a very complex relationship. Yes? Simple living is a catalyst to high thinking. And I gave you a framework. Many of you keep asking, how do you know if you're living simply? How do I live simply? Shiva. S, set your nature. H, handle for evolution. I, invest in effort. V, value the deep. And A, very, 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 very important. I can go very times infinity. Absorb the shallow. On Sunday mornings when you're trying to be quiet and you're sitting at your family table and someone comes and sits with you and is swallowing very hard, chewing very loudly. All of that quietude is now you're contemplating on their noises, correct? You have to absorb the shallow. It's just bodily noises. Let it go. Simple living is a catalyst to high thinking. And in these last chapters of 88 and 89, we also explored the kata, where, let me put some context to this. One of the most popular questions in this field, the field of self-development, is there free will or God's will? Yes, popular question. Very YouTube oriented. This video is viral. Prince Arjuna feels that he can protect these infants that are dying. You remember that kata? And he's unable to. So Bhagavan Krishna is with Prince Arjuna, and where do they go? To Bhagavan Narayana. It's so majestic, so magical that Bhagavan Krishna is interacting with Bhagavan Narayana. Bhagavan Krishna, in this dialogue, is the creator, and Bhagavan Narayana is consciousness. This has nothing to do with them. It has to do with us. Our relationship with Bhagavan Krishna, he is the creator, I am the instrument. Prince Arjuna thought he was the doer. I can protect this infant. But Bhagavan Krishna showed him, I am the creator. You should be my instrument. Bhagavan Narayana, who is consciousness, that sense of being an instrument has to evolve. I'm not even an instrument. I am being. From doing to instrumenting to being. And that's why the last verse and quarter that I read to you, Hatva, after you accomplish what you were born to accomplish, which is to correct society. There are selfish personalities who are disguised as leaders, Hatva. When you have corrected them, Iha, which means now, Bhuyaha, again, Tvaraya, quickly, Itam, come, Anti, close, Me, which means to me. Bhagavan Narayana says to Bhagavan Krishna and Prince Arjuna, having accomplished what you were born for, come back to me quickly. See how the creator also has to return to consciousness. The instrument to the beer. I assure you, if you've ever been part of a Bhagavata Saptaha, this has not been explained. The Vedanta, you can't explain this in 1 week. It requires 100 hours to be able to tune into this. And this is the same messaging as Bhagavad Gita, the same messaging as our Upanishad, yes? Many of you are studying in all of these courses together. And now we continue to chapter 90, the last chapter of the heart of Bhagavatam. For many, this is where their relationship with Bhagavatam is completed. Even though there's 2 more skandhas, just like in Ramayana, many don't want to study the Uttarakanda. What happens after they return to Ayodhya? But our rishis have composed these. Who are we to say, I don't like this? It's like when you watch a movie with someone and they fast forward it. They made that movie for a reason. Even if it's Bollywood songs, they did it for a reason. You can't fast forward over it. Chapter 90. And we are going to begin with verse 14. 90:14. This is Rishi Shuka interacting with Raja Parikshita. And what he's describing is what the Devis are doing in Dwaraka. Uchur mukunda kaidhiyaha gira unmatta vatjadam chintayantora vindaksham tani me gadatakshunu. Uchu Mukunda, speaking about Bhagwan. Eka dhiyaha, with complete absorption. Gira un matta vat. They're speaking like they're drunk. The words that are coming out of their mouths make no sense. Jadam. It's like they're in a different state of consciousness. Why? Chintayantaha. They're ever contemplating on Aravindaksham, the one with lotus eyes. Who's behind me right now? And behind you too. You just can't see him. Tani me gadata shunu. Rishi Shuka is telling Raja Parikshita, listen to my words that these Devis are sharing with each other. This section to me is almost like we're going back to the Rasa Leela chapters. So here are some of the happenings here. In this chapter, Dwaraka is described in great detail, and it is a most prosperous city. Everywhere there are riches, everywhere there is cleanliness, they're living in harmony with nature. And so the Devis and Bhagavan Krishna played a lot. It was like they were always on date night, always playing with each other, completely in love or absorbed with each other. These Devis, after absorbing themselves with Bhagwan, Chintayantaha, then they went about their day. They acted. Exactly like Karma Yoga, no? And as they were acting, the flowers that they were offering to Bhagavan Krishna at his feet, suppose I offered a flower to Bhagavan Krishna's feet, another Devi would collect that and put it in her hair. So all of them were wearing flowers. in their hair that were offered at Bhagavan Krishna's feet. So you don't get lost in the poetry. The absorption is the focus. I told you, this skanda, this chapter is a contemplative one. These Devis, they see a swan, and they feel that that swan is a messenger of Bhagavan Krishna. And these Devis tell Bhagavan Krishna, the swan, to go tell Bhagavan Krishna, we're always waiting on you. How come you never come to us? And they said, you tell him he can come to us, but he can't bring Devi Lakshmi with him. He has to come alone. Because Devi Lakshmi is not the only one who has surrendered her life to him. We also have. So she doesn't need to come. We're here. And then Rishi Shuka says, Lebhire paramam gatim. It is this absorption that leads these Devis to paramam gatim. They are enlightened. They are not different from Bhagavan Krishna. He further shares, Tasam kim varnyate tapaha. How can one describe their bhagya, the fortune of these Devis, that they got to serve Bhagavan Krishna? Now, for us to internalize this, we have all of the access that these Devis have, because where are they absorbing themselves with Bhagavan Krishna? Point to me where this is. Hrit Krishna. See, if you externalize this, you're thinking, you live in Detroit, they live in Dwaraka. There's snow on the ground here. There, everyone doesn't walk on the ground. So I can't be like that. That's why the Vedanta part helps you to appreciate you can be a Devi. And in terms of serving, if we externalize this, they served Bhagavan Krishna by combing his hair, by massaging his feet. Isn't Bhagavan Krishna in the heart of all? So if I comb someone else's hair, if I help with someone else's feet, am I not doing the same? Further in this chapter, what is shared is that Bhagavan Krishna lived the Veda. This is called Veda Anusari. He was tied to the Veda. He never strayed from the Veda, despite his responsibilities. Bhagavan Krishna had 16,008 spouses. With each spouse, they had 10 children. See, to me, that is contemplative in itself. I have 2 children and I can barely breathe. Yes, 10 children per family, and he's still living the Veda? He is my hero. And I want to read to you some of the names of Bhagavan Krishna's children. Note these names. If people come to you and say, you know, today I found out a Devi in our community, she just had a daughter, which is great. She didn't come to me for a name, but if she did, I would give her some of these names. Some of these names are Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Deeptiman, Bhanu, Sambha, Madhu, Brihadbhanu, Chitrabhanu, Vrika. Vrika's here again. Vrika means wolf. Wouldn't that be so cool if your child's name was Wolf? Is Wolf here? Right here. Aruna. And again, see I don't know how to say it, but these are unisex names. I think I'm saying that correctly. It can go to any gender, these names. Pushkara, Vedabahu, Shrutadeva, Sunandana, Chitrabahu, Virupa, Kavi, Nyagrodha. Got them all. These are some of their names. the most prominent is Pradyumna. Now, further on in the chapter, Pradyumna's child's name is Aniruddha. Aniruddha. You're following me? Bhagavan Krishna, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Aniruddha has a child whose name is Vajra. Why I'm bringing this up? Sadly, in forthcoming chapters, all of the names I read to you, they're all going to die. Other than Vajra. That's what I'm trying to lead you to. Vajra is the sole family member amongst the Yadu Vamsha, this family that survives. And this is a civil war. It is a war that's happening within their own group of civilians. I feel Russia and Ukraine is the same, no? See how history just continues on like this. And that's why there's no solution other than surrender. Surrender to the one who's beyond this. Further on, now there's a lot of kids there, yes? And those kids need a gurukula. They need a guru. So, and listen to this. This is how many acharyas were employed by Bhagavan Krishna. 38,800,000. That's how many acharyas were in Dwaraka. 38,800,000. I don't think there's that many teachers in the world right now. And all of them are just tending to Bhagavan Krishna's family. And really what this shows you is how important education is. How important a Kula Guru is. One more verse. I'm on the last page of the book that I'm using in terms of the 10th skanda. Many of you have this too. This is verse 46. Rishi Shuka is sharing with Raja Parikshita, this time shifting away from the Devis who are absorbed with Bhagavan Krishna. Now he's shifting to the Devas. Shaya sanatana lapa krida snanadi karmasu navidu santamatmanam Vrishnaya Krishna Chetasaha. You can show me with your actions. Shaya, sleeping. You don't have to show me, I can already see. Sleeping. Asana, that's all of you. Then Atana. I'm looking at Atana. Walking. Atana is walking, moving. Then Alapa, talking. Krida, playing. Snana, bathing. Adi means all other verbs. Karmasu, all other verbs they're engaged in. So whether sleeping, sitting, walking, talking, playing, bathing, all other verbs, na viduhu santa. They do not know the present. They do not know themselves. Why? Vrishnaya Krishna Chetasaha na viduhu santam atmanam. They do not know what is happening outside or inside because their minds are perpetually contemplating on Bhagavan Krishna. That's how the Devis lived. That is how the Devas lived also in all of these verbs. One of the reasons why Bhagavan Narayana becomes Bhagavan Krishna is to correct the asuras, those who are selfish. When he stated his intention, then he told all of the suras, the devas and devis living in different dimensions, you come too. And they all became the devis and devis living in Dwaraka. The Yadu Vamsha are all these personalities like Apsara and Indra and so on and so forth. Later on in the chapter, what is shared is all who were absorbed in Bhagavan Krishna absorbed all of them. See how this is like a summary chapter. One of the first personalities we met who was absorbed in Bhagavan Krishna, Kamsa. He did that through hatred, correct? Or fear. Then in the middle part of this section, our gopis. They were absorbed in him too, correct? But out of love, and he absorbed them. And now he's bringing it to the end of the chapter. All those in Dwaraka were absorbed in him, and he absorbed all. I'm reading to you the last verse now in English. This is verse 50, chapter 90, section 10. This is the Palashruti. This is to be our experience. And my encouragement of you is to close your eyes now. I've already told you what I'm reading. You can read this in your own time. By constant and continuous practice of hearing, singing about, and remembering the glorious deeds of the Lord, man's devotion to him grows day by day. And by virtue of it, he attains to the state of the Lord, overcoming the otherwise irreversible and inevitable approach of death, which engulfs all beings. It is seeking that state that kings go to the forests, abandoning their kingdoms. Iti Srimad Bhagavate Mahapurane Vaiyasikyam Ashtadasha Sahasryam Paramahamsyam Samhitayam Dashamaskande Uttararde Shri Krishna Charita Anuvarnan Nama Navatitamodhyayaha Iti Dashamaskandaha Samaptaha Hari Om Tat Sat. Oh.